for a real treat.
Hang on to them hats and glasses, 'cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
It's the DIZPod, where dreams come true. With Corey and Lawrence, we'll explore with you. Feel the magic.
Gets his stuff and gets ready to leave. And I was like, you're leaving?
Together we'll make memories.
And he said that's when he was like, okay.
Yeah, so...
But, so why'd you pull over then?
I was probably more scared than anything. Pull over.
That's why they chose the music they chose, and that's why that they laid this life out, you know, from birth to death in this show. It's actually much more to it than I think a lot of people realize until we really start to see it more.
I'm going to skip out because I do have to do my football show where I will be picking the Patriots to lose this week. By the way, go Raven, out!
I'll talk to him later. Pete is great. Love Pete.
In the house, sometimes we would have 30.
You had the house to hang out at.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Stevens.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
I just said, let's go live on YouTube. People might like to see that. Believe it or not, that first night we got 1,000 people watching. I don't know.
You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the DIZPod. Lawrence, it feels like we have been gone for weeks and weeks and weeks. It is March 31st, 2026. We do this live because we do it for all of you in chat. Welcome in, everyone. We will interact, but we'll interact not as much as we do in a park live stream because you're actually watching a live studio recording of a podcast that goes out to our other faithful listeners and viewers out there, anywhere where major podcasts are available. How about that?
Yes.
So, yes, and I haven't even talked to you in a while.
I have been very, very busy trying to prepare for a lot of trips coming up. Right, you guys know I try to get to the parks about every 6 weeks or so. Plus, on top of that, we have our cruise coming up in August. So very, very busy. So I've been working a lot. I'm surprised my family even remembers what I look like.
Wow. So in the parks, I've gone solo for 4 streams now. And, I'm a big boy. I can put my big boy pants on and do it. But definitely feels different without you there. But I know that every moment you had free, you were able to chime in and still help at times. It looked like I may have needed assistance. So very good there. It's what else is happening? So I'll just say time flies by fast. A week ago, a week ago, Jacob couldn't drive. I mean, he could, but not legally. All of a sudden, the kid gets his license. I was happy that the tester with him, she actually said that told Tammy he was an excellent young man and an excellent driver. So that made me feel a little bit more at ease when he leaves the driveway for the first time. So 2 days later, he drives himself to the prom.
Wow.
See you at midnight.
Wow.
And it's not close either. It's halfway to Disney.
Yeah.
So off you go. Take the training wheels off and off he goes. So
That's right. Right. No more
cherish
training
every
wheels.
moment, everyone. Cherish every moment. Yeah. Now he's going to school and, using the parking space that I paid for in September of last year. So we'll get a few good weeks out of that parking space. I said to Tammy, what did we pay for that thing? $140? She's like, $40.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm like, okay, that's a little bit better. So how's things on your end?
Good. We are staying busy. Tomorrow's picture day, spring picture day at school. So and I'm sure she's probably upstairs making her dress or something. Yeah, for me, like I said, like I mentioned, just been staying busy with work. And last week we didn't have a podcast because I was traveling for work. So always good to be back with all of you here. We see a lot of friends from the community and from the network in chat tonight to say hello to Skootah Adventures, who is our special guest this week. We like to have every now and then guests from our community and from the Disney Streamer Network on the show. And so this week, Mike has said he would be on the show. We're going to talk about Skootah Adventures, get to know the channel, get to know him, and certainly have some all the dresses done already. How about that? And certainly have some questions about mobility in the parks and using an ECV. So if you have questions, go ahead and put it in chat with a Q in front of it. That'll help me kind of see it a little bit better. And then we'll have some Q&A for Skootah in just a little bit.
Sounds amazing.
All right. So yeah, I guess we'll bring in Skootah right now.
And I was going to say, this is right up my alley because, you know, it's all about mobility in the parks, and that's my profession.
Yes.
All right, let me put my photo down here.
You know.
Hello, everybody. Just having a moment with my photo. My painting. Yeah.
I wondered how long it would take.
Oh, we went right into it.
Go right into it.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see everyone tonight.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on the show, guys. Happy to be here.
So, if I were to ask you what's the attraction you miss the most, it would be
Everything here. Yeah, it would have to be the and I know it's a weird offbeat kind of attraction to have that as my favorite, but it's just the connections that I have as a child going on there with my folks and my parents as a kid, and I remember just countless times just sitting there with my dad watching it go by, just there it goes, and then later years sitting there with my fiance Michelle, Saturday Parks Live. We used to sometimes we'd go to the park, go right to that back little corner back by Big Thunder, and end up sitting there for like an hour. I was like, we've been at the park. I was like, we haven't done anything yet. We've been sitting here for over an hour. We just watched the Liberty Bell go by, 20 times. But so it's just one of those things. It was beautiful. It was just a little vibe back there. It was a little mood and nice place to relax and chill. So
yeah.
But I miss it, and I'm looking forward to what's coming. It should be good. What's going to replace it? But I do miss it, and hopefully it'll show up again somewhere in the parks.
I did just see, it might have been this morning. I took a nap in the middle of the day. You take a nap and it just throws you off. You don't remember, like, was it today? Was that yesterday? Anyway.
Yeah.
Bio Reconstruct showing the Liberty Bell still sitting backstage. It's been a long time and it's still back there.
It's promising. Every time I see that thing still sitting there, it doesn't look like it's something destined for destruction. It's still together back there. Collecting dust, but it's still back there.
It's still back there. So
I'd like to see if it ends up sitting back there, and we do come into hurricane season, and you have to start moving things. That's going to be curious to see, because then they might go. I don't know if they'll be kind of forced to make it go bye-bye, but we'll see. But either way, thanks for having me, guys. Thank you, Corey, and thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate it.
Absolutely,
it's our pleasure.
Appreciate you coming on. So take us back a little bit. How do you decide to start your channel and decide to make the focus of Skootah Adventures mobility and being on a scooter and that kind of thing? Take us through that.
Okay, it goes way back. Almost all the way back to. I almost looked at it like when I was in school, high school, even. That is all ties into where I'm at now. Because when I was in school, I was that guy. I was that AV guy. I was in the AV department, and then we had a local news program, and I did camera work and editing back then. Started my love of photography and video and all that. Fast forward through my 20s, and I was working at an airport. My other love was flying, believe it or not, and working at an airport, and gave up my whole idea of being in video and doing anything like that. One of our guys that had a plane out there owned a video production company, and I got to talking to him. He said, bring in a demo tape, show them Next thing I know, I'm working for this guy. I quit the job at the airport, became a video editor. He said, the only shift I have is overnight. I can work overnight. But I was like, I'm pursuing my dream. I'll take whatever you can give me. Started working overnight. Did that for about 10 years. And then somewhere in the middle of that, started to develop a little love for NASCAR, of all things. Living in New York, NASCAR is not the most popular sport up there. You know, we have the Yankees and everything else, Rangers, Giants, Jets.
I'm sorry, did you mention the Yankees?
Oh, of course I did. Of course I did, as a matter of fact.
Well, he had to leave. Sorry, Skootah.
Well, hey, you know, it was good to have him there. You know, I thought there was only one New York team, although, you know.
Yeah, and my Yanks, you know. In fact, you see that picture back there on the wall is I was at the final game of the old Yankee Stadium. That's a photo I took back there on the wall.
Oh, wow. That's a cool thing to have done.
That was an awesome thing. I think I was one of the last people. You know me at the parks. I was like that night at Yankee Stadium. This is security. They had one. They came all the way down to gate 2, one last gate open, and I was trying to elude security everywhere I went. I was like, all right, they're closing this one. Let me. Came down the ramp. They had ramps there, Yankee Stadium, and there was like 18 security guards, and they were like, "Yo, over here, let's go!" And I was the last guy to walk out, and I think I was close to the last fan to leave the old Yankee Stadium. So, you know, I mean, probably wasn't. But
awesome.
Yeah, it was late after the game. But
you're bringing back a memory for me because it was a bucket list thing of mine to bring my kids to Fenway Park. Now I grew up there. I went there as a kid. I went a million times to Fenway Park, but never got to take the kids because when they were born, basically they lived in Maine, so they were 5.5 hours away. Right. It just I never really put the effort forth then. But going up to visit a few years ago, we did it, and you just brought back a memory because Lawrence, I think we closed out Fenway Park, like. That's what we do. We close out the parks.
Yeah.
I think we closed out Fenway.
Yeah, that's
they were
it.
Trying to push us out too. They're like, okay, let's go. The exit's over here. We're like, one more photo. Come on. Yeah, I was like,
many times I've been on Main Street, and I'm like, wow, I'm the last guy here, and it's so weird to get that photo of looking down Main Street, you know. And but yeah, so I think I was the last, and I knew once I was like trying to hold out. I knew once I went over that threshold out of Yankee Stadium onto the regular sidewalk over there in the Bronx, I was never going to walk back in that building. So it was kind of. So either way, so that's a side note. So then I started, became a NASCAR fan, started doing video, and started going to NASCAR races. Now I ended up threw myself into everything else, like I do here with the parks. 100% into NASCAR, knew everything about NASCAR racing, Richard Petty, all that, and was hating New York. I hated the winters. Everybody knew I always wanted to get out of New York. So my brother was living in Florida at the time, over in Daytona Beach. And he sent me a little clipping in the mail. I opened a little envelope we used to have when you couldn't text people, and it was a little envelope, and it was a clipping from the Daytona Beach News Journal, and it said Richard Petty driving experience looking for help at Daytona Speedway, and it said they were looking for pit road guys and send a resume for photographers. And I was like, well, I'm not really a photographer, I'm a videographer, but I said let me try that. This might be my ticket to get out of New York, and sent that down. I sent the resume, sent the application. I went online. Next thing you know, they called me. But at the time, the crew that actually ran Daytona was such a limited schedule. The crew was out of Walt Disney World Speedway, the hiring crew, the managers. So they called me from, I looked at it, it's a 407 number, 939 for WDW. Everything they call you is W939. And I was like, what is that? And it was like, hey, well, Rich Ray Giants fans over at Walt Disney World Speedway wants you to come down. We actually want to interview you. We saw and I was like in New York. So I said, when do you want me? They said Tuesday. I drove down, came down for an interview. Went over to Disney Speedway. There I am driving up the Disney property underneath the marquee. And I'm like, wow, I'm going for a job. I might actually work in NASCAR at Disney, which I loved as a kid. That was my dream. And possibly doing photo or video with NASCAR. Like everything's combining itself, And I went for the interview and they ended up hiring me as a pit road support guy. Now, on the way out, I said, hey, I have a resume, because you didn't need it was just basically an application for that role. I said, hey, on the way out, I have my resume if you want to take a look at it. And the guy, as I'm walking out, the guy that interviewed me looked at it and said, wait. Hang on 1 minute. He goes, you might be better suited for the photography department. So he called the lady out, and she's like, oh, my gosh. She goes, I love this. I love everything I see. We're going to be doing a video, type of setup on the car soon, and I want you to help launch that. Would you mind working? I'm going to steal you from John, who interviewed me. And I said, yeah, of course. When could you start? And I said, well, whenever you need me. And they were like, we're going to start in 2 weeks. I went back home, got enough stuff together, moved. Next thing I know, I'm moving down to Florida to work at Daytona Speedway. Now, Daytona I ended up becoming a manager. It wasn't enough to sustain a full-time salaried manager. we only ran the summer months. And Walt Disney World Speedway was year round, every single day, 7 days a week. So they said to fill in, the gaps, you're going to have to work. Even though you live over here in Daytona, you're going to have to work over at Walt Disney World Speedway at least 3 days a week. Because over here it was 2 days at Daytona, and I had to do at least 3 to equal the 40 hours. So I said, yeah, that's fine. They said the one perk is because you'll be doing at least 3 days a week, you could go to Traditions and get your cast member ID. You'll be a cast member, a participant cast member. Who's going to say no to that?
Exactly.
So there you go. So I was working Daytona Speedway, working Walt Disney World Speedway, had an ID, a Disney World cast member ID, which ended up getting the main gate ID as a manager. And I was able to bring friends in. I was able to bring 4 people in with me each time. I was able to use it like 12 times a year. Discounts on everything, and just like the cast members get. It was amazing. Did that for 11 years. Ended up getting out of that in the I stopped working in 2010 and got into other stuff. I ended up working in a motorcycle shop as a manager, retail as a manager, worked at Ross, Ross Dress for Less, and did that. And then that ended up going. Now I work at a car dealership. So, but I still had the video knowledge, and throughout that course of time, my knees started to go, arthritis, everything else, can't walk. So I started using the mobility scooter. So now, as time went on, I said, I want to get back to the parks. The only way I could ever do the parks again is on a mobility scooter. I'm not just going to sit here on TV and watch everybody else having fun. Let me get a scooter and we can go out and have a good time. I was embarrassed at first, didn't want to use a scooter. You got your pride. But I ended up buying a scooter and another scooter. Now I own 5 scooters, actually 6 scooters. So we're going to the park. We're enjoying ourselves, going to SeaWorld, going to Universal, going to Disney, and getting to go back to the stuff I love, back to the parks. And I was like, wait a minute, I still have my knowledge of video, right? I have my knowledge of 11 years as a cast member, and I have knowledge of having to use a mobility scooter, so I know the real life struggles that somebody in a wheelchair or ECV face every day. There's so many vloggers and video and streamers out there. Let's see if we can tie all this together and package it and come up with Skootah Adventures and maybe help some people. I remember my mom. There was times when my mom didn't want to come down. She had bad knees as well. I guess that's where I got them from. She would go to, in the supermarket, she would use her ECV to go shopping. And when the kids came down to Florida a few years back, she didn't want to. She's like, no, I can't use the scooter in the park. It's too busy. It's too busy. I'm like, Ma, it's no different than when you're in Publix. Just no. Let the kids have fun. And I was like, you know what? I'm sure that happens more than we even know. How many grandparents miss going to the parks with the kids because they're intimidated by getting on an ECV, and it is intimidating. You pull out of there, you rent your scooter, you pull out the main street, and it's like, now what? It's a little different than riding around Publix. So maybe we can make some vlogs and videos to make people a little more at ease. And we started to do that, and I started to get emails and comments and feedback from people saying, for years I didn't want to go to the parks. Now watching your videos, I'm inspired to go again. I just booked the trip. I just did this, just did that. And just got an email from somebody last week saying, every time I watch your videos, I feel more and more comfortable. I was at the concert yesterday, 38 Special. A lady sitting next to me. I could see her looking at me out of the corner of my eye after the show was over. You could see it on the stream. She's like, I know you. She's like, I just can't think of your name. I said, Skootah Adventures. She goes, she looked at her husband. She goes, that's the guy. I told you that's the guy I watched. And she was in the ECV. She said, I was so afraid to get an ECV to come to the park, but I watched your videos, and it made me comfortable enough to come out and enjoy myself. They were from Pennsylvania. And so she was there, and after watching my videos, inspired her to come out. So I guess hopefully that catches you up on everything and where we're at, and that's how Skootah Adventures came about. And thank you for thank you for the floor for all that time. I appreciate it.
No, that I tell you,
it just means Lawrence and I have to talk less.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That ate up the whole show right there.
Good night, everybody. No,
yeah, have a good night. Thanks.
So. Stories like that, I always think back. Corey will remember this. Grandma Grover. We meet her in Hollywood Studios. First time I ever met her in person. She was at Hollywood Studios, and she said that watching us and Corey navigate the parks, and he's not on an ECV, but just showing that you can do it, and kept trying to motivate people to just get out here and enjoy the parks. And you don't have to, just focus on the big rides, and you can actually slow down and take in some of the shows and the entertainment and that kind of thing. inspired her to get out there and go to the parks. And I remember when I met her, I figured, oh, okay, she's probably here with a bunch of. No, she was there by herself. Like she was inspired just to get out there, rent an ECV, and just enjoy the parks. And so I appreciate, exactly what you're doing and what you're trying to help folks understand that the park is for everybody, and there's plenty enough.
And that's the thing. And when we started getting those emails and the feedback like that, like I said, they're still coming in now even more than ever. I see TPG, Theme Park Giant, is a good friend of all of ours. He's in the chat, and I saw where he said he was able to bring his friends and never brought me one as well. He's
misbehaving in the chat. With
of course, Corey. Can we time him out? Is there any way we can?
There's a bad apple in every group.
Yeah. But I have people that come all the time. I wish I could pull up some of my emails that, hey, I saw you on Theme Park Giant sent me away, or I heard your name mentioned on Theme Park Giant. I have a question. I want to come down with an ECV. I'm going to be using an ECV, and can I do this or that? And and then I start a dialogue with them, and then I end up talking to them myself. We go back and forth for a few emails, and then I usually hear from them saying, hey, we ended up coming down for a couple of weeks, and it was wonderful. I'm like, see, you got over that initial fear, and it is very, very. Even now with the experience that I have, I can't even tell you. We all know how it is in the hub after Happily Ever After, and you see it's crazy enough for walking people. If you're at this level and all you're seeing is backs around you, you're like in the bottom of a cave, like a hole, and you just like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Do I, there's nowhere to go. You know how that is, and you really can't see if there's a hole ahead of you. So it's very intimidating. I just know after all the experience, it's just, hey, we're going to be here for a while. So, make ourselves comfortable until it opens up. But there's a lot of people that would probably have a panic attack in that situation. And but if some of our videos help people get comfortable, and as people say, hey, I didn't know I could take my scooter on a Skyliner. Yeah, sure you can. Go have fun. Your family can go with you too.
Right.
So so that's where we're at with that. And it's just each time we get an email like that, it just keeps us inspired to keep going.
So let me ask you. You mentioned the hub and fireworks. So there is viewing area for the ECVs there at Magic.
Yes, and it fills up very quick though. So if you're not lucky enough to get in those areas, now you're out there with the, in the middle of all the people who are just standing there, which it's just fine, and you can't tell people, hey, duck down. You just have to make the most of it. And luckily the fireworks are up, so you can still kind of, you can see. But like I said, once it clears out, then you have an issue. But you just kind of adapt, try to get to the sides. I always tell people, even when you're in a crowd, now spring break crowds are there. You watch a guy like TPG walking around the parks. It's just a sea of people.
Yeah.
I find it easiest, and it's nothing scientific about it. But if you stay to the right, stay to the farthest right that you can along the railing, if you're going over one of the little bridges into Tomorrowland, into Adventureland, if you need to stop for a minute, you're not going to impact a lot of people. You're already as far over as you can. And, if you stop, somebody can walk right around you, and it's a little bit easier because if you can't control having everybody surrounding you, but if you're all the way to the right, now you only have people in the front, the left side, and behind you. You kind of have a little bit of clearance. And it gives you kind of a false sense of security, but hey, there's nobody to my right. I'm all the way over here. And if you need to stop, it just seems to work, and that's why I tell people, go very slow, go to pace of the traffic. We're not on the scooter to try to race somebody to rope drop, guardians. Hey, there's Lawrence and Corey. Let me turn my scooter up and I'm going to beat them. That's not what
we only race on Main Street at the end of the night.
That's right, only on Main Street.
Yeah. And Lily cheated a little bit, but she did beat us. But
she did. There's no video evidence of any of that, though. No.
No, of course not.
Chariots of Fire music.
And but yeah, so that's so that's how I tell people, because that's enough to, and I know if I was walking around and we're in a crowd of people just moving with a pack, and all of a sudden somebody flies by on a scooter, I know it's going to probably aggravate me. We're not there to do that. We're not there to race anybody. We're there to just get through our day without being in pain by the time we finally lay our head on the pillow back at the Contemporary or wherever hotel we're staying at. You're just there to get through the day. Don't go to pace as everybody else. and enjoy yourself, and you'll be just fine. That's what I tell people. That's one of the main things I tell people.
So Lawrence was going to that where I wanted to go to. So you asked him about that area of, special viewing. But if Skootah runs his streams like I do, and again, I always say this, right? It's just me. It's me. But I know it's fine to sit for an hour and a half on Main Street somewhere. People are still going to watch, enjoy the ambiance. I'm like, it's a word. Like, I got to move. So that's how we run this channel. So I probably wouldn't take advantage of that spot just because I would feel like you got to show up 90 minutes or an hour before. And that's a long time to wait.
Yeah, you do. It's the same thing as like those. I do a lot of the concerts. It's no secret there over at Epcot, and a lot of times you got a 5 o'clock, 5:30 show, and you start the lineup at 4. It's like I don't really want to sit here for an hour and like lose an hour of park time, and that's the same thing with the fireworks. People sit there.
Yeah.
People start gathering sometimes, especially around the holidays. You go on 4th of July weekend. 6 o'clock, people are laying blankets out and they're camping out, ready, waiting for happily ever after, which is not going to be till 9:30 or 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, how, you're giving up all that park time. Bless you for doing it, but and like Corey said, you got to, you want to stay moving. And if you don't happen to get in, a lot of times it's happened many times. Happened to Pete, happened to Lily. I'm sure you get over there to that area that they have set up, and they, the person standing at the rope says, we're full. Nothing we can do. So you try to find a little area that you kind of have to your own and go from there. But either way, at the very end is when, there's no easy way out. Whether you're taking a monorail outside the park, you know how that is. It's the same thing in the hub. You're going to be there for a while. So plan on camping out for a bit, especially if you're on an ECB. Yeah.
So let's say you don't get into that spot. What's your next favorite spot to watch the fireworks from?
Over by the... in Frontierland, along the boardwalk, if you look, there's a riverboat right there. And it's all at night. It's all lit up. And wait a minute. All right, no, that
yeah. He was going where I was going. That was my alternative. That was my third.
That used to be a beautiful spot right there. But they took that away from us.
You're not wrong. The reflection of the fireworks on the water, the Liberty Bell all lit up. I mean, it certainly was a beautiful spot. There's no question about that. That's gone now. So now where would you go?
I like to be at the far end. If I'm on an ECB, just even at the far end, at ground level. You don't even need to be up by the train. Way in the back, because you can see the castle in the distance. You can see all the fireworks. You can see all the lighting and the projections on Main Street. And once that last firework, once the grand finale, you can kind of make your way to the exit and have an somewhat easy way out. Not really, but that's where I like now. You can still see it from over in Frontierland, and they do pipe the music over there very well. You could hear the entire soundtrack. You just miss that, like Corey mentioned, that reflection of the boat, or like you mentioned, Lawrence. You get just that right there. That was amazing. But you don't have that part of it, but you can still see the fireworks. You just can't see the projections on the castle. So, but it's a good view because you realize that there are fireworks that go on way behind the Haunted Mansion too. You can see, there's like 2 layers of fireworks that are happening, and it's kind of an interesting perspective if you have a chance to do that.
I used to love to play with the camera off the reflections too. Sometimes just pan down and show the water. And people in chat tend to like that too. Am I the only one at this point that does fireworks behind the carousel?
I don't know.
I'm thinking maybe.
I can't think of anybody else that does. Certainly, Theme Park Giant won't do that.
Yeah, because he's in bed by 6 o'clock. You know that.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay.
I'm surprised he's even up right now. It is 7:13, and
it's a special podcast
I just looked
tonight.
at you.
It's a special night. He actually took the day off from streaming today so that he could be awake for the show. So we appreciate that, Thad. Thank you.
I noticed that, and thank you, Thad, for giving up a day at the park so you could be here with Skootah. Yeah. And he says there are fireworks at MK. You see what you got to deal with,
So you talked a little bit about transportation earlier with the Skyliner. so all forms of transportation you can use an ECV. Is there one that you feel is easier than the others?
Well, the Skyliner is real easy. It doesn't get any easier than that. You just kind of, you pull straight in, and they tell you to pull up until you hit the little bar on the ground. There's a little bar where the wheel is. Hit the bar, shut it down, and you're good to go. Foolproof. Nothing's going to happen. Sometimes backing into those monorails, if and I'm amazed that it doesn't happen. They make you back in most of the time, and there's nothing behind you. That other set of doors is still open for everybody who just got off. And you back in, you go up the ramp, and they tell you, all right, slowly, slowly, stop. I know by feel once I look at my tiller and I see how far I'm in, I'm in. But if somebody goes too far, you're going out the other side of the doors, and there's no ramps there. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised that doesn't happen. So the monorail is a little bit tougher, but it's all doable. Skyliner, very doable. I mean, the ferry, it doesn't get any easier than that. You pull right on the ferry, go right to the front, you pull right out the other side. Sometimes you got to be careful because if it's windy and you're wearing a mic, a DJI mic, sometimes the wind will knock it off and you might lose a microphone in the water. I know that's happened before. TPG could tell you. Do you remember? Were you watching the day that
Yep.
TPG lost his mic?
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to be careful with that. It gets a little windy on those ferries, but it's easy on, easy off on the ferries too. So the buses a little bit tricky. If you're uncomfortable getting on the buses, like backing in, you got to back into a tight spot, kind of like parallel parking. If you're a little uncomfortable with that, the bus driver will actually take over and do it for you. So, they're really very accommodating. Well, as far as I guess the question was, what's the best form of transportation? I would say the Skyliner. It's easiest, and you just go right on there and enjoy the ride. We know how the Skyliner is.
For those renting a scooter, how much schooling time should they have under their belt before they take a scooter out there to the park?
That's a good question, Corey, because there really should be a little bit of a learning, like a little bit of a, just a little
class, right?
Just like exactly. They really should. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
they,
so.
Because there's so many people. I've seen people in the parks, and even ones that they rent from Disney, or they hop on it, and all of a sudden it's just like hammered down. They get on it, and it's just like whoop, and they take off, sail into the crowd, and it's like oh my god! I watched a lady going through security one time at Animal Kingdom. It was clearly a rental, and they just got it because we're behind them as we're getting up there, and the line's inching. I hear the person saying, "Well, I don't know what this one does. I don't know what that one does. And I think this one is." And I'm just kind of listening, and I'm like, if something comes up that I could interject, I would. And the line advanced, and bless her heart, this lady she nailed it, and she went right into a guy pushing a stroller, and went right up on his. And I think she was with him. I think it was her son-in-law or something. But she went right up on his ankles, and the front wheels actually started. And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I was like, "Oh, easy, easy." I'm just like, I'm watching this happen. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Ma'am, you could turn. You could turn it down a little bit." And she's like, "Oh my god, that's what that is." There's a picture of a turtle and a picture of a rabbit. If you turn it towards a turtle, it's going to slow you down. And hopefully, bless her heart, hopefully they had the rest of the day was uneventful. But like Corey said, there should be these places, like when you rent a boat. If you go somewhere and rent a boat, they're going to say the life jackets are there. You turn this way, you reverse this way. The anchor is here. This does that. This does that. These places they give you a scooter and say, "Have a good day." And then the person, all of a sudden, they set sail down Main Street, a couple thousand people, and it's just like, I just hope for the best. That's what it is. But there should be a course. They should make people sign off and at least the basics of operating a scooter.
Now, and I've heard people say, like, if you're gonna go to Disney and you're gonna rent an ECV, try to go to Walmart or your grocery store and kind of practice there. Although the level of traffic at a Publix or Food Lion or Walmart is a little different than what's going to be at Disney World. But do you think that would at least help? Because
I have a video that's in the works now, a vlog that I showed, and it's in the hotel. And if you rent from an outside company as opposed to at the parks, which I recommend always going to an outside company. I just saw Ken, Lily's Life Dad is here. Welcome in, Ken. He mentioned that the scooters at the park are way too big. The ones they have now are way too big, which I couldn't agree more. We all see it.
Yeah.
Corey, you see it every day, all the time when you're out there.
Yeah.
They're huge. Those things they're like double wides. The rear wheels are this big. But if you rent from an outside company, at least you have it with you. You could take it to your hotel. When you leave the parks, if you want to go to Golden Corral for breakfast, you have the scooter to use there. You don't have that when you rent at the parks. So, as far as that, now you're in the hotel room. What better place than to get used to? It's a tight spot. You might have two double beds. You have a little walkway, a restroom. That's almost similar to what it's going to be like at some of these shops. Get used to the scooter in there. Turn your speed way down and back up into a corner, back up between the beds, back up and back to the restroom. See if you get back into open the door to the, whatever it is, kind of get used to it there. It'll just make you more comfortable. And always just, when in doubt, just keep your speed way down. And even if you just kind of jerk it by mistake, you're not going to go plowing through people. So just always keep the speed down first and get used to using it in areas that aren't very populated. That's a very good. And now, if you get to the park, even now you met the guy, he dropped off your scooter at TTC parking lot. Before you go onto a monorail or up the ramp where there's a lot of people, mess around right there in the parking lot a little bit. You have just to get yourself familiar with it, and until you're a little more comfortable. And now we could all go in and have some fun. It's kind of like if anybody's ever been skiing. You're not, if you've never been skiing before, you're not just going to go to Black Diamond. You're going to go to the bunny slope, and you're going to mess around on the bunny slope a little bit till you get the feel of the skis and how to stop. And it's the same thing. So, although I did get on the bunny slope. Wow. Can I tell you a story real quick when I went skiing? A little side note.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Disney or scooters. We went. We had a little field trip at a little bar I used to go to, a little sports bar I used to go to back in New York. We went to Windham Mountain skiing. Never went skiing before. What do I know about skiing? I don't know anything about skiing. I watched videos about it. Went up there and they said whoever needs to go. When we got up there we had a chartered bus. Whoever needs to take lessons, let us know. We have a clipboard. And I was like, well, I'll do it. It was me and like all the girlfriends on them. And all the guys were like, we're going right up to the top. So it was me and all the wives and girlfriends. We went to the bunny slope. Now, you progress. They're like, all right, you go forward, stop. You go forward. Then you go up to the next tier. You slide forward, and you kind of snow plow. Now you go to the next tier. It's like 5 tiers as you go up the mountain. And it's very, it's kind of like that. Now, as you go up, another group forms in behind you. So now by the time we got to the 5th level, they were going to make you do all of them and try all the things they just taught you. But a little group on the bottom was a whole group of little Girl Scouts. Little girls, bless their heart. Cutest little things. They were little pink, like little winter coats on. They were at the very bottom. Now they were like, all right, from up top, come on down. Everything we showed you. Now plow. Now this. I forgot everything they told me and I panicked. What I did, I couldn't stop. Now I'm going right towards these little girls. I full speed. How fast can you go out of the bunny slope? The only thing I could think to do was just lay myself down, which is even worse. Now instead of going through the group of girls like this, I went through the group of girls like this. I plowed through. I must have plowed through like 15 of them. Little girls were getting up. They were like spitting snow out. They're like, I was helping them up. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, it was a crazy thing. I felt so gay. I felt so guilty, and I wiped out this little group of Girl Scouts. And I said, which way is the lounge? And they were like, it's right over here. A little lot. I went over there and I took my rental skis, put them in the little rack, and I went up there and I stayed up there the whole time. I never went up on the slope at all. I was like, if I hurt people, little girls on the bunny slope,
on the bunny slope. Business. Oh my goodness! So, that's why that's the real reason. That's the real reason you moved to Florida, so that you're away from the snow.
Yeah, I don't need to be around the cold weather anymore. That's it. It's safer down here.
So there's times that you hear me mention a cast member that I know that is in a position that she's revolutionized things in the parks and things like that. So she's influential and has an important job. So I haven't talked to her in a bit, but she's one of Jill's friends' moms. But we've interacted about different things, and I've made a lot of suggestions to her. Then they kind of come up, and I go, "Was that me? Was that me?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay," because you didn't go before. But anyway, I did suggest one time. I'm like, "What if you put a travel lane for scooters?" Like, I think that would be really good. I'm thinking like Main Street. I'm thinking World Showcase. Like just a lane. And she's like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that would work." But I tried.
A for
Hey, you
effort.
know what? It looks good. That's one of those things. It looks good on paper, but it would never hold up in the parks. Everybody would be
Yeah.
flooding, especially right now this time of year. That lane that would be reserved for scooters it would be a free for all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that
So
is a good. I do like that, Corey. That is very. I like that. Very clever. I do like it.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. Travel lanes.
implementing it would be the hard part. I'm sure Ken out
Right.
there in the chat would like that. Ken, what do you think of that? Lily's like that.
So that
Yeah,
reminds
yeah.
me of New Year's when we were at Epcot for New Year's Eve. Towards the end of the night, they essentially form a wall of cast members in the middle of World Showcase to create two-way traffic. All right, and if you're on the right-hand side, you're going, north.
Yeah.
If you're on the left-hand side,
And
you're
I
going
like that.
east,
I like when they
south.
do like those rare times because they'll put that little piece of masking tape, and it's like enough to make people,
Yeah.
can't step over that line. And people
Yeah.
actually do follow that. It's kind of crazy.
Well, for New
for
Year's
the most
Eve,
part.
it's actually cast members. Like they are lined up arm to arm, spread out, and like you're not
Okay.
crossing over.
Yeah.
And so I think for a night like that would help. But I think they're trying. I that is a cool idea, but yeah, I think you're right. They wouldn't implement that. You mentioned renting a scooter, and we also mentioned the scooters that you can get at Disney in the parks per day. So kind of give us an idea on what, should you rent a scooter from an outside company? Should you just get one at Disney? Do you even buy one? Like what would you say?
That's an excellent question because right there, a lot of people think they're very expensive, and yes, they are. If you buy a brand new one, they're very expensive. I do have a company I deal with them, Spin Life, and if they bought through that company and I have like a little promo code, people get like 10% off. But now if you're buying a $1,500, a lot of scooters are basically about $1,500. And if you're buying a $1,500 scooter and you're getting 10% off, that's not bad. It's $150,
Yeah.
but it's still very steep. A lot of people aren't gonna, especially when you're planning a Disney trip. Like we all know, it's a couple dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go on places, believe it or not, you can go on places like Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, go on even eBay for that matter. But it's a little bit harder for the logistics of it. But go to Facebook Marketplace, narrow it down to your area. You'll be amazed at how many people. And this is sad to say, and and I don't mean anything negative. You'll be amazed how many people have, because I have 6 scooters. 3 of the scooters I bought because the person was like, just come buy this scooter. It was mom's. Mom passed. I don't want to look at this thing anymore. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. She used it 12 times and then she passed away. Well, and like, yes, you almost feel like you're doing them a favor. They're giving you a great deal on the scooter,
Right.
fractions of what it's worth, fairly new, and you're just getting it off their hands because they don't want to look at the damn thing anymore.
Yep. Yep.
So I recommend if you're going to buy it, if you're not going to need it all the time, look at a place like Marketplace. You'll find a good deal there. If it's something you're going to be using all the time and you want a warranty and all that stuff, then you could go and look at the crazy expense of buying a new one. But it's nice to have it, because when you go back home, you might use it and implement it in your regular everyday life. Renting it when you get to the parks, I always recommend that. Like I said, that's simple. Take it back to your hotel. Take it to a restaurant. You're not always going to be on property. If you're staying on over by Disney Springs, Hotel Plaza Boulevard, you're going to want a scooter because maybe you're going to go over to Disney Springs and the families might want to walk, because they have those little overpasses. You could take your scooter and go over and enjoy everybody and then go back home. When you rent a park scooter, you don't have that option. So that's it. And a lot of times the park scooters sell out very quick. So always, if you're going to be in a park in the area and you just might need it for the parks, rent from an outside company. If it's something you think you might be able to implement in your everyday life before you go on a Disney trip, look on your local Facebook. You might be able to find one to buy yourself, especially if you're driving down. Just take it with you. That's the best advice that I can give there. And you could also travel with a lot of these scooters. The sealed lead acid batteries you could travel with. You basically don't have a problem until you start getting into the lithium batteries. Those are a little bit harder for TSA, for flight. But most scooters have sealed lead acid batteries, and you can take those on a plane. No problem.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask you about traveling with your own scooter on a plane. Because I've seen a couple people do it. Tell us, do most airlines allow that? Do they have to? Are they required to allow it?
Yeah. Yeah, they're required to. It all depends on the batteries. Like I said, a lot of the lithium batteries are very, they're unstable. I guess is the
Hmm.
best we could say. Different altitudes and that kind of thing. Pressures get to them, heat and cold. That's all a factor.
Hmm.
That's the kind of there's different kind of lithium too. Those are what you see on the news. Of, somebody who buys a little skateboard scooter and it blows up in their living room while they're charging it. That's lithium ion. But they also make lithium phosphorus, which is called LiFePO4. If you look up like a light, it's called LiFePO4, lithium phosphorus, and those are a lot more stable. Actually, those are a lot safer than a sealed lead acid battery, which is what a car battery is, sealed lead acid. Um, and they're a lot lighter. Those you could fly with, but you have to let them know. You have to declare that at TSA at the gate. And a lot of times they'll either have you take it on board because they can't check that in an unpressurized cabin down below. They'll
Hmm.
take that on board with you. They'll take the rest of the scooter, but you take the battery on the cabin with you. So as long as you have everything documented, if you're in a battery case that says it's supposed to be sealed lead acid, you have to put a sealed lead acid battery in there. Some people actually put a lithium battery in it because they'll fit, and now it's not matching what the placard says on the battery box. And it could be, now you're starting to get into a dicey area. So always declare what you have. If you have a battery box, tell the agent when you even right before you go on the plane, take my scooter. This battery is a lithium battery, and they'll say take it with you on board, and that's kind of how that works. But it's all TSA and flight approved, FAA approved. It tells you right there on the boxes. It'll tell you that they're FAA approved. And if you have any question when you buy a scooter, just look it up online. And it'll tell you certain scooters are good for travel, certain ones aren't. Same thing with cruises. Certain scooters you could use on a cruise ship because of the width of the doorways. Certain scooters you can't. So just look into it.
I was just trying to think if I saw any scooters on our first Disney cruise. I don't remember seeing any, but I'm sure there were.
Yeah, there is. And it's a real narrow, like my Revo 2.0, I could bring on a cruise. It's actually very narrow wheels. Some of
Mm-hmm.
the wider scooters, like the ones in the park, like we were just talking about, you would never even think about travel with those because they're just way too wide.
Mm-hmm.
Some scooters are just the wheelbase is too wide to fit through those tiny doors on a cruise ship, and they wouldn't be good. So that's why you have to look into it. If you're going to buy your own scooter, make sure it's safe for travel, that you can actually take it with you. Some of them are very easy to just take apart, put it in your trunk. Some of them there's a lot more to it that don't come apart as well. You need either a ramp or a carrier to put the whole scooter, the whole thing on a ramp. So try to make sure you get a travel scooter. Is the thing.
Speaking of batteries a moment ago, Sierra asked, how many folks on ECVs do you have to save from dead batteries? How long did the batteries typically last if you remember to charge them the night before?
That's a great question. And that's one of those things too, because most scooters are going to have a 300-pound weight capacity. That's like a go-go, elite traveler. Like, yeah, and a lot of the scooters that you see at the park when you see somebody on a rental is a go-go. And all the places use them. That's one of the most popular scooters.
Mhm.
300-pound weight limit, but it has smaller batteries on it. They're either 18 amp. They're kind of in fact, I thought I just changed out some batteries. They're basically about this size. This is a camera, but they're basically about this size. So you can see how thin they are. And It
Mhm.
takes two of these, and they're 22. They could be 18 or 22 amp each, and they fit in a battery case on a go-go. They'll last the whole day. You'll get through a whole day with them. Now, if you use a bigger scooter like a Victory or something like that, like I use a Revo 2.0, it takes almost like a lawnmower type battery. Those things will get you through the whole day. You won't have to worry about even charging them. And that's the thing I try to tell people. Always go with the larger capacity scooter. They might try to put you on a 300-pound scooter. If you have any doubts, if you're going to do a lot of park hopping, see if they have a larger Victory or a Revo, which is a 400-pound capacity scooter, even if you weigh 120 pounds. Just because it's going to have giant batteries in it that'll get you through the whole day and then some. You might almost make it through your whole vacation with batteries like that and not have to worry about it. So go with the biggest scooter that they have, and there's usually not much of a price difference either, as far as rentals. So always go with the largest that they have, and then you're not going to have to worry about it.
Wow, good to know. Good
Yep.
to know. Are there any areas of the parks that with an ECV you steer clear of? Like, or are all areas of all the parks, for the most part, accessible?
Yeah, most areas are. There are some areas where once you venture down into them, it's going to be kind of tight to get out of. I guess one I think of is Mexico. And Mexico Pavilion is great. We all love going to Mexico Pavilion. And if you're on like especially this weekend, Easter weekend, if you're on an ECB and you're not familiar with it, not comfortable on it, I would kind of advise you against going into the Mexican Pavilion on the scooter because once you go down into the bowels of that, it's pretty tight. It gets very crowded down in there, and if you're not comfortable on the scooter, it's going to be an issue. You know, it's going to be an issue getting back out. The ramps are very narrow. You basically have one line of traffic and one line of traffic that comes down around the sides. We know how it is in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a place that's real tight. A lot of fun. I love Mexican Pavilion, but it's very tight on the scooter if you're not comfortable. Other areas are fine. You can go back into France, go back into UK. Avoid going into Rose and Crown, places like that. It can be a little tight. But for the most part, you're pretty much good to go. American Pavilion, Morocco. It's great to go back there. There's a little place to sit down and relax. Not very populated back in there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all good areas. But there are certain places like Mexico, like I said, I would avoid at all costs on the scooter. It's very tight.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
Now, some folks have issues with a lot of the boat rides because you have to, step down into the boat rides. But I've seen like on Small World, they have the accessibility boat, so that if you can't step into, the boat, then you can ride the scooter on. I'm trying to think of the other rides that have that accessibility boat. I know Small World. Can you think of the others?
Yeah, Small World has one. And actually, if Lily's like that is out there, he would definitely know.
Oh, yeah, they would know.
Yeah, I know there was one. You got the land. You have.
Gosh, I can't think of them. But I just
how would you do the
Cruise
land?
Jungle Cruise is the land has a boat that actually has instead of having maybe 12 rows like an average boat has, it only has 8 rows, and then there's like a whole flat area in the back where you could actually pull a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if an ECV will fit. It's really kind of tight, but Lily's like that just says he's typing in now. Tom Sawyer Island, not a problem anymore. Oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Tom Sawyer Island. But he's a little bit back on the chat. But yeah, it's like a little flat area, and you can just pull a wheelchair, kind of like Lily's, a power chair, right on the boat, and go off and enjoy the land. Same thing at Small World. I'm sure you've seen that there's that one boat that comes through, cycles through maybe every 8 or 9 or 10 boats, and it has a little flat area in the back. You can pull an ECV or a wheelchair right on there with no problem. So, but yeah, Ken just said Jungle Cruise. That's one of them, and it's a pretty good setup. I guess Nemo, what do you call it? It's a great blue world. What's
the seas with Nemo friends.
Back there in Nemo, they have a boat because you sit in a clamshell, and there's actually one that kind of opens way up, and they can back a power chair on sort of like Lily's, bring it right on, and you stay right in your ECV or wheelchair right through the whole ride. And so they do accommodate you quite a bit on a lot of the rides that especially a lot of the newer ones. Of course, you're not going to do it on Spaceship Earth. I think you have to transfer, but there are plenty of places where you can stay right on the vehicle, whatever you're using.
Good. Very good. It's
Mark Giant says finding Sleepo.
I don't know why he says that. He knows Finding Nemo is his favorite, and he's got a ride and a show that he can enjoy. I don't know.
And you're in the air conditioning for a little bit, so
That's
enjoy
right.
yourself.
That's right.
Don't be so grumpy, Mark Giant. Enjoy your success.
Here, we'll throw David T on there, another member of the Streamer Network. He asked, "What do you think they should do with the Liberty Bell?" I'm going to go ahead and answer for Skootah. Fill the river back up and put it back on.
I couldn't agree with you more, Lawrence. I couldn't agree with you more. We know that's probably not going to happen out of all whatever they may use it for. But yeah, there's this me, David T. Can even a friend Skootah. What do you think they should do with the Ludo? Well, I love Lawrence's idea, but more realistically, I've heard, and this is all rumors you hear around property from different cast members and people, Um, I've heard it's gonna, and I'm sure Lawrence, you've heard it. It might end up over at Grand Floridian. It might end up over at the new resort that's going to be over at the DVC resort they're building at Wilderness. Might end up over there. And either way, if it's going to go anywhere, it's safe to assume it's going to stay anywhere in that Bay Lake region because it's going to be so hard to take it out and transport it. If they could keep it in the lake and just put a barge or two, a tugboat, send it across the way, anchor it, whatever it's going to be static. I don't think they're going to be using. Some people are like, oh, they're going to use it as a ferry boat from TTC. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
I really don't see that happening.
No.
But whatever it is going to be static, and it'll be a nice place. It's a beautiful boat. We know it. There's a lot of room on there. You can make it a quick serve. You can make it a place that just has a couple tables. You can sit there and view the fireworks across the lake from there. Just to utilize it somewhere, and instead of just chopping it up and making sawdust out of it, logs. But I think they'll use it, David T. That's a very good question. But we'll wait and see.
What was the last day? Was it July?
Yeah, it was July. TPG was out there. There was like 8 of us streaming at the same time. We were all together. That's right. TPG nuts. We were all standing next to each other without gimbals. The Baker was out there, Fun to Be Free, and TPG, myself, and I think I even think Cruiser D Park I was out there. She was there. But yeah, it was. I think it was July 6th. It was the weekend of July 4th, and that's what was crazy because they did on July 4th weekend.
Yeah,
and they did on that Sunday of July 4th weekend, which is crazy.
Yeah, I was at Port Orleans Riverside that trip, and I remember. I think we were going over to the pool. And I had you guys up on my phone as I was walking over there. And, I didn't go that day. We went and did our last Liberty Bell a couple of days on the 3rd. But, it's one of those things, right? It's like a lot of times an attraction goes away and we just don't hear about it or, but BioReconstruct has pictures of it. I mean, it's there. It's been a long time.
I've seen it myself with my own eyes, and it's there. It's out there. And I just hope that it will resurface someday, and just I would love to just. I know someday we're going to set foot on there again. I will be on that Liberty Bell, and just like I'm with you, Lawrence, when it comes to, and I know this is another crazy topic with people. The Muppets. I think the Muppet Vision 3D is going to resurface somewhere, and I think it's going to be back there by Villains Land. I'm hoping, but no, I guess we'll wait and see.
Corey, what have I said since the beginning? Villain show is temporary,
Very
and
temporary.
we're going to see it over there.
Yeah, I think Villains is there just to kind of keep our appetites for a Villains Land. It's a promotion. It's a promotion for Villains Land right now, and then when
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I thought it was my idea, but maybe it was Lawrence that said it first. About probably was you about Muppets being right there, taking over. I see it no other way. Yeah. I really think that's going to happen. And then if you do that, I think there's some land behind it. Now we gotta do a little bit more. Now we have to do a little more Muppets.
Yeah.
If there's room to do it, we got to do more.
That could be a whole Muppets land back there because there is, there's enough interest in the franchise. People are, when we were all there on the last day of Muppet Vision 3D, it was crazy out there.
People dressed up and it was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was sitting here watching.
My favorite part of that was the actual Muppets. Like some guests showed up with some great looking Muppets. Gonzo. One of them had Gonzo, and I don't know. I always like the movement of some of the materials that the Muppets have had over time. Almost like feathery stuff. Like his Gonzo even had like those little feathers that like in the wind.
Animal was like that too.
Animal
used to go crazy with
kind of flowy with the air. Yeah. There was an animal there too. There was.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so there was a while there, like and that's why I always talk to Michelle about. We started out that year, last year. We went to the first weekend of Big Thunder Mountain. As soon as we got back from our pass holder blackout, we have the Sorcerer's Pass. We were allowed to go back in January, I think 3rd or 5th. That weekend was the final weekend of Big Thunder before they closed it for refurbishment. Shortly after that, we went to Chester and Hester, final weekend. We went to that. We were there for the final day of Chester and Hester. And that's another thing, like the Liberty Bell, nobody cares about it, but yet there was still a big turnout. There was a cult following for Chester and Hester.
Mm-hmm.
We went on that Sunday. Michelle never goes out on a Sunday, but she wanted to be there for that. We were like some of the last to walk out of Chester and Hester. And then we went to Tough to Be Above. And then it was just like one thing after another, then the Liberty Bell. And it was just like, wow, all we're doing this year seems like we're closing things down. We're having like the final, weekend of this and that and that. So it was just kind of crazy, but it was fun. We're looking forward to whatever's going to come next.
I was going to say, you people that watch our channel have been able to see my daughter Jill quite often lately, and part of that to bring her out with us, because she still goes to the parks, but not as much with us, has been these closures. And I looked at her, I think during Rock and Roller Coaster, I go, look what we've been doing lately. It's like we've just been closing attractions. And I said, but this
crazy.
just means that soon we'll be opening a bunch of attractions.
Yeah, that's it. And we wait. And hopefully it'll be sooner than later. It looks like all the progress is moving along really good on a lot of these things. So hopefully it won't be too long. And we'll be fighting to go on the cast member rides and pass holder rides and all that stuff.
I think part of the issue was with Tron, and as long as Tron took, it just solidified everything that they do is going to take 5 years, right? But we don't know what the issues were with Tron. There's been, rumors of a sinkhole that they had to fill in and all this other stuff. And of course, you had the pandemic going on and less people working and all that kind of stuff. I still say part of the issue was Epic Universe opening, where you had a lot of construction happening over there. And that was kind of the priority in that greater Orlando area. And so these small projects were going to, they were outbid, people were going to Epic. However, you look at Disney right now with what they're doing with Monsters, what they're doing with the animation courtyard, where they're working on it during the day. Like, that's pretty unheard of. Like, there's like earth movers back there during the day, right behind that scrim wall. And that's not normal. And I think they're on a different timeline than what they've been before. Plus, I can tell you from a construction side, it's cheaper to get people to work during the day. You don't have to pay night differential. So you're saving some money by making them
look at the castle. Look at the progress, how quick that went.
Yeah.
A lot of these early morning streamers, you'd see that or somebody out there. And there was a couple cranes, like some residual work going on, but they would stop at a certain time in the morning, and they got that work done lightning speed. And here we are. And it kind of almost made up for it. I told Michelle they're going to redeem themselves. They're making up for taking away the Liberty Bell, that old school Disney, and by looking at the castle and the form that it's in now, kind of brings back memories to the old days.
Yeah.
And, so they almost made up for it, and I'm happy with that change.
I was okay with the pink because it essentially was pink when we all started going in, and my family I started going in, they all went for the first time, and so the last 5-6 years, that's all we've really known. But I do have pictures and remember, the castle in its original color. And I think it looks great. I think, hey, fresh coat of paint on it's always going to look good. So.
Right, exactly. And I think it'll show up better almost, for the projections, because projections, let's face it, probably show up better on a white screen or a white background than they would. Yeah. So hopefully in that way it's better. I haven't seen Happily Ever After yet on the new. I'm sure Corey has. I don't know if there's
I haven't actually. Maybe you
haven't.
Make a point tomorrow night. Maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, and see if you notice a difference, because I'm real curious that when you're there in person, if you do notice if they pop a little bit more, on that white background.
You might be right.
Guess it would be.
Yeah. When's the first time you went to Disney?
I guess the park opened. The far back memories I remember, like we went the year. The one thing I remember is that they had the bicentennial parade, which I guess like started in '75. So I think it might have been about '75. And that when you look at the old videos, you can look them up on YouTube. It was all the characters were like they had like really big heads.
Yeah.
You know, remember it was almost like that when they had the show over
Bobblehead
at
characters.
the parade. Yeah, yeah. And there was a big one of the floats. I remember had a big flowing flag on it. And I remember that, because I remember going home with little postcards and stuff like that, little mementos, and a T-shirt that said, "Spirit of '76" or whatever it was. So it was probably around the '75, which, Park opened '71. A lot of stuff was still brand new. A lot of paint. Like I say, paint was still wet. And then we went back every year after that. Well, the first year we went, we stayed at Contemporary, not in the tower. We stayed in the lower buildings, a little more economical. And next year we went to Polynesian, which my mom loved. But then I guess they realized, hey, this is getting crazy. Contemporary Polynesian, we're going broke with these vacations. But they wanted to give the kids that 1 week a year, that they would take off from work and we would head off from school. So then we started staying off property. We would stay over on 192 and a few others. So we went maybe Contemporary Polynesian, then we went maybe 3, 4, 5 years after that at off property hotels. And then some of us started to get a little bit bigger, and we were outgrowing it. We ended up, then we were doing like stuff closer to home, going upstate New York, going to Virginia, and but yeah. So that's my farthest memory goes back to about '75.
Wow.
At the parks.
When there was only one park.
Yeah. That's it. Yep. There was and I remember I have to go through some of my old stuff because I have some old stuff from back in New York when my brother cleaned up my mom's house. She passed last year, and my brother said, I came across a bunch of your old Disney stuff, like a scrapbook. I put a scrapbook together as a kid, and he said, I have some old photos that you took. And I remember taking a snapshot. It was I think it was like 110 film. Sure, Corey remembers. It used to be the prints used to come out square. They were complete, perfect square.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as we were driving by, leave them, and Epcot was under construction. I took a picture. And I remember looking at it, and I remember getting home, like having the photos developed at Photomat, and looking at the picture, going, "There's a big black painted sphere. I don't know what that's going to be, but because it was like the undercoating before they put the panels up. So I have a picture of Spaceship Earth when there was still just that black sheathing on it, and that's I remember that was one of the times we were leaving. I was like, "Oh, that should be nice." As a little kid, not knowing any better. So I remember all that stuff.
So in chat on all the channels, I put in what 2026 attraction are you all most looking forward to, and I put in Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, Big Thunder Mountain, The Magic of Disney Animation, and Bluey coming. Bluey Live over at Animal Kingdom. So I'll ask Skootah, what are you excited to see coming to the parks this year? Could be those or something else that's coming.
Well, I'm looking forward. The one thing, and I guess, and I'm hoping people are excited as I am about it. I'm really looking forward to the new soaring that they're going to be bringing along. Soaring over America, soaring across America. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be. We know how popular soaring is. We all love soaring, and I think it's going to be nice to have. We went over soaring of California, soaring over America, and now where you're gonna soaring around the world, soaring over America. I think I'm thinking you're probably going to see New York City skyline, maybe Chicago skyline, probably L.A., Grand Canyon. You're going to probably see things you don't usually get to, that you don't see in the current version of it. So I think that should be pretty good. I think it'll be fun. And it's going to be temporary, I'm sure, but it'll be fun.
I mean, it'll be temporary, but I think it'll be hopefully long enough that enough people get to, experience it. I mean, I'm looking forward to this celebration of America's 250th. We know the fireworks are going to be crazy. That the July 3rd and 4th, maybe they even extend it out because it's the 250th. Soaring across America, like you said, is going to be great. I think you're going to get some of the big cities. You'll probably get the Grand Canyon. maybe Yosemite, maybe Niagara Falls. You know, some of these. Hey, I'd love for them to put the Blue Ridge Parkway out there. You know, just, let's fly over the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit longer than the summer. But the summer does have some cool stuff going on. You do a lot of
Big Thunder, of course, is going to be coming back.
Big Thunder.
Big Thunder should be very close to happening soon.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it looks like it's going to be a quick
testing
turnaround
today.
for Rock and Roller. Yeah, they were. I noticed that. And Rock and Roller Coaster, of course, it looks like that's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. So at some point this summer,
yeah,
so that'd be good.
Yeah, Corey, what are you excited to see this coming up this year?
I think it's close for me between Big Thunder and Soarin', but I'm such a big fan of Soarin' that I think that edges it out for me. It'll be exciting to see a new version of Soarin'. So
yeah,
I think so. And we can't forget that Big Thunder itself is not just a refurb. It's just not laying down a new track and here we go. There are going to be new features in that, and I'm really excited to see the dynamite, sparks and follow that just like you do at Disneyland. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Do miss that ride. It's so much fun to kind of, the different movements it has and things like that, and it messes with your brain, right? Because what is it? You go up the hill faster than you go down the hill at some point, right? It messes with your brain. You know what I'm talking about, that part?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely Soarin'. And I think Disney doesn't tend to run things too short, right? I mean, how long did the drone show run? It feels like a good 3 months or something like that, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was basically the summer.
Dreams that Soar.
That was a really good show.
It was.
I think Michelle and I quote COVID at that, but I can't really blame a specific event. But yeah, we went to that, and a week later we were both. I was like, wow, they had us in a little ECV area, viewing area behind, over near where the shore house, lake house by the where that is now. It was under construction back then, but they had everybody crammed in a little spot, smaller than this room probably. And we were just I was like, oh, so great. I brought her, surprised her. She had no idea that there was even a drone show that summer. And she thought it was amazing. But everybody around us was coughing. I didn't think anything of it. And a week later, we were down for the count. And sure enough, we got COVID. But hey, all part of it. When you go to the parks, you take that risk.
Yeah.
I love that show.
I really enjoyed that show. I'll listen. Sometimes I'll put the song on and listen to it in the car sometimes.
Yeah. The soundtrack
comes on Park World Radio
as well.
Yep.
Comes on Park World Radio. It's not on heavy rotation, but you hear it now and then.
Yeah, Dreams That Soar. Great song.
Dreams That Soar.
And I do think I've heard from a good source that there's a good possibility that you talk about fireworks that they could last way longer than the 3rd and the 4th. So call it a rumor, but I think you're going to see fireworks extended much longer than just those 2 days.
Yep. But you heard it first right there. When you go to the park and they don't have those fireworks, say, well, Corey from Living in This told me that they were going to extend it. Make sure.
Yep. I called it a rumor, but sometimes I do like to hear. Sometimes I love to say, you heard it here first.
Yeah. So
that'd be great if they do.
You tend to cover a lot of the concerts over at Epcot. Why is that?
Yeah, I just I love music like everybody else I'm sure out there, and it's just one of those things. To me, and a lot of people will skip even the Broadway shows on during the Festival of the Arts. And my take is we have all the events. Ratatouille, that's always going to be there. Frozen's going to be there. Soaring's going to be there. When they bring in these festivals and these special events, whether it's Garden Rocks for the Flower and Garden Festival, Disney on Broadway, or Eat to the Beat series, or Candlelight Processional for Festival of the Holidays.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that they're giving you live and, in my opinion, top class, first class entertainment. It's amazing, and maybe being from New York, and knowing how hard I knew people used to go to Broadway a lot, how hard it was to get to a Broadway show. And if you were lucky enough to get tickets for a Broadway show, you were lucky. Um, you were fortunate. Um, so if they're going to be doing that right here and it's free, they're offering that to us. Might as well go enjoy it. These are people they're singing. It's top class singers and entertainers. People from Broadway. These bands are national acts. 38 Special yesterday. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to see. It's not Taylor Swift. Um, Billy Joel. It's 38 Special, but it's a national act that you would otherwise have to pay maybe 70, 80, $90 to go see somewhere. You have a concert, you have a chance to go see the band, go check it out. So many people just walk by and ignore it. Disney on Broadway, so many people skip that. So many people skip Candlelight Processional. Yeah, maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea because it does get, maybe people at a theme park and they don't want to get engulfed in all that. They want to see Santa Claus, not, maybe they don't want to hear the story of Christmas, whatever it might be, and that's fine. But they're bringing in celebrities, different people from different, um, you know, whether it's singers or actors or whatever, and putting on. It's an amazing show. If you've ever seen one
Yeah.
in person, and I know you have, you'll want to go back again and again and again. Just the chorus and the way it's done is just, I don't know. To me, it's an amazing production. They put so much work in it. Why not go see it? And why not? If I'm going to be streaming, of course, I'm going to bring it to people who aren't fortunate enough to get out there and see it.
hmm
And so that's kind of it. So I just look forward to it. I know, hey, we got so and so this weekend. A lot of people might want to see that. There might be people who are in Colorado right now and want to see, Joey Fatone. Let's bring it to them. Joey Fatone. They love Disney. They love Joey Fatone. Why not? I'll bring it to them. Hopefully they'll watch it and enjoy themselves. And that's
And
kind of why I love to do all these shows.
and
You know?
some of these acts that they're bringing in, like you said, are these are not. You wouldn't be going to see them, if not. So for example, the orchestra that did ELO,
Yeah.
they're coming to the Raleigh area, like I think 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Tickets or whatever they are, $60 or $80.
Yeah.
Here you are, your ticket to Epcot for that day, and if you're an annual pass holder, it was included. So why
exactly.
not? Why not take advantage of that? That's a great point. Great point.
And you could bring a drink in. You could bring a snack in with you. When you go, try doing that if you're going to, you know, the Raleigh amphitheater. You might not be able to bring your own snacks in. And
That's
stuff
right. That's right.
Might
No,
be-
I appreciate that you do a lot of the music.
but it's still it's right there. You're it's basically it's low hanging fruit, like they say. It's certain it's right there. Go check it out.
Yep.
Don't pass up those shows. You'll be amazed at some of the entertainment. You really will.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just want to say I appreciate Skootah coming on. This has been great to get to know Skootah. And folks, if you have not subscribed to Skootah Adventures, do yourself a favor, subscribe to Skootah Adventures. He is a great streamer out there, part of the Disney Streamer Network, doing some phenomenal things. He promotes, all the streamers that he can. When I was watching last night, and he was saying how, there's enough of an audience out there for everybody, and why not share that? And so that's kind of why we do, what we do here and why the Disney Streamer Network exists. So what's next for you? What do you got coming up?
Well, of course, we'll be out there streaming this weekend. And I don't even know what the lineup is as far as the entertainment over at Epcot. Whatever it is, I'll try to incorporate it. I always like to do a park hop because I only get there 1-2 days a week. Usually on Saturdays, that's our day. So while there, I try to cover as much as we can. You know, and we'll try to do Animal Kingdom, try to do Magic Kingdom. Doesn't always work that way, but we'll try to incorporate all the parks, and I'll try to end it so that we're in the evening hours. We're back over at Epcot. That's what we'll usually park. And then we'll get there in time to maybe do 1 or 2 of the shows, maybe do Luminous, and then head out to the car and head home. And a lot of times Sunday will come and, we'll wake up and start to stir and feed the kittens and all that stuff. And, Saturday Parks will say, "You're going to go to the park today?" And I'm like, "Well, you want to go with me? I'm thinking about, and she'll say, "No, just go on ahead." And sometimes I'll just get everything charged up, ready to go. And I'll just head to the park myself on a Sunday. Like Corey said, the last few times you've been there by yourself, we love to have the family and everybody there with us, but
going by yourself too. I'm able to. I'm almost able to focus more on the stream because I feel bad if she's with me. Trying to share the day with her and enjoy the stream at the same time with everybody that's watching. But if she stays home, then I can really throw myself into the stream, and I think it makes for possibly makes for a better product. I hope, and that's all we can do. We try to do the best we can with everything we do, and if some days you don't feel it, there's a couple of days where I woke up and said, you know what, I really don't feel like streaming today, and I won't even go to the park. I just want to stay home, relax, because it'll come through in the stream. If you're not going to be out there and be happy, if you're going to go out there and complain and moan, and people don't want to see that. They want to see the parks and have a good time. And that's what we try to do. You stream, Lawrence, you stream, Corey, of course. You know how it is. You want to be able to bring it out to everybody, the vibe and the mood of the parks. So
that's right. That's right. And Corey, you are at Magic tomorrow night?
I am at Magic Kingdom tomorrow night. I assume that they're open till 11 again. And probably a 6:45 start. And we'll take what the park gives us. We'll do both Starlights. And maybe I'll make it a point to hit Main Street for the fireworks to see how good they look now with the new paint job. And, we'll close that park down and we'll pick up where we left off on Saturdays. We'll be over at Hollywood Studios, back with Jacob. We'll see where that leads us. We may take it over to Springs after that, or we might just end it. So we'll play it by ear. We'll see how that goes from there. So that's what we have coming up there. Jacob will not be with us the following Saturday. He's at Universal for something called Grab Bash. And it's where high school seniors get to go to party at Universal, and it's closed for just them.
Yeah.
And I think they stay open till like 2 a.m. kind of thing.
Oh, nice. Well, that's
so I'm kind of hoping.
experience.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping when the bus drops Jacob off, 10 minutes from here, Tammy will go get him at like 2 a.m. Or what we might do, I have to talk to Tammy about this. Maybe we'll stay at Magic till midnight or a little after. Take our time and time it so that maybe we get home around the same time. He gets in. So we'll see. But anyway, live at the park tomorrow. Magic Kingdom live at Hollywood Studios on Saturdays.
I'll be tuning in.
Skootah, I like.
Sounds good.
I like the way you end your streams. You have a little phrase that you say.
Jingle.
I'll ask you to say yours as your final word.
Oh, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So, right? I mean,
is
fire, as the kids say. That's fire.
It's just, and I think it goes along with what we do in Disney and what streamers try to do. You're bringing people to the parks with you that may not be able to get there. You're showing them how they can get there on their own, and inspiring people, as you said earlier in the show. And I'll put this comment up there. Pepperoni says Skootah is my new favorite. He's a fabulous streamer and videographer. You can sense his good heart. Can't wait to see where his adventures take us. So.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Well said.
Yeah, and I love that name. I remember telling Pepperoni the other day on my live stream. Isn't that a great name, Pepperoni?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I love that. People are very.
We love having you, Pepperoni. Thank you for supporting all of us.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right. Yeah, people are very inventive sometimes with their names. Yeah.
I love when I see great names when I'm live. I'm like, can you come in more so I can say your name more?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pepperoni.
When I first started chatting in live streams, I was just Lawrence. It's just Lawrence Wilson. It's like boring. Then I became real. It was really long when I joined the show. My name was the DIZPod - Lawrence Wilson. It's like that didn't last. It's way too long.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, people don't want to type all that out. So then it just became Park Bros.
I think you got Park Bros from me, didn't you? I started naming everybody. We're all Park Bros. I'm like, we're all.
Well,
Park
we
Bros,
were in. Yeah, you and I and a couple of people were in Hollywood Studios, and we were right by the intersection of Hollywood and Sunset, and we were talking about being Park park pros and how we know how to work the parks and all that. And I was like, yeah, it's park bros. We're park bros. Yeah, and we just that's it. We just became park bros.
And are you at the point where, because everybody can now, when you show up in somebody's chat and you're in everybody's, you see the name Park Bros. It's Lawrence. Hey, Lawrence. Hey, Park Bros. Some people call you Park Bros. The same thing with Skootah. Nobody, most people don't even know my name is Mike. I'm Skootah. When they see me, hey, Skootah, Lily.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I love Skootah. Hey, Skootah, whatever. And so that we have two good names. I think that stick. Park Bros. That's great. Skootah. That's great. And I tell Michelle, I'm like, yeah, I gotta, I gotta get to the park. People want to see Skootah. She's like, you're Mike. She brings me right down to earth. Like, yeah, you're Mike.
Tell her, man. That's my stage name.
That's it. Corey thought your last name was Adventures.
I did.
Yep, there you go. Skootah Adventures.
You know what's funny? What a lot of viewers might not realize, that when the cameras go off and some of us meet each other, you don't even introduce yourself by your real name. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
We might meet Mike for the first time, be like, living in Diz. Oh, hey, Skootah.
Yeah.
I'm Park Bros.
Like I saw you a few weeks ago, Corey. Right? Remember, you guys were in town, and we met. We all met. It was after the park was already closed. Lily's Life. Everybody was there. Jen and Jen, Lily, and Nice Work, Pal. And you were off the air at that point, Corey. And you're like, hey, Skootah, good to see you. It was like, and it's just, I'm so used to that. Everybody calls me Skootah, and I love it.
Right.
That's what put us on the map. We're Skootah.
That's it.
Skootah Adventures.
That's it.
Now I'm from Massachusetts, where we would say Skootah. How did you come up with that?
That, believe it or not, it was if I told you the original name of the channel, that's another crazy thing. I call Michelle Saturday Parks Live, and we have our pet names for our loved ones. She's Babekins, like instead of Babekins, and she started calling me Bubkins. So when we first decided to start going down this YouTube road, the original name of the channel, and it still comes up on some of the emails and some of the things I know how YouTube works, and it was originally Babekins and Bubkins Adventures. That was the original name. And I was like, after naming it that, and we started to get people watching, I was like, you know what? I can never face, how am I going to face people with Babekins and Bubkins? I wouldn't watch a channel with a name like that. I was like, we need to do something with this channel name. So I was like, why don't we make it Scooter? Is that you laughing in there?
I got to take notes on this when I see him in the park next time. That's it. I'm referring to.
So it was like Skootah Adventures, like the official spelling, regular spelling. And I think there was another channel out there might have had that, and it just wasn't. So I went up to New York for when my mom passed away. Actually, it was my dad. My dad passed away, and we all went out to with the family at a restaurant. And I was with a lot of my family. You're laughing still. A lot of my family from the Bronx. Crazy Italian, mafioso type family, and kind of like, I feel like I'm dining with the Sopranos. And we were all just eating at this restaurant. And I was like, you have a YouTube channel? I was like, yeah, Babekins. And they're like, no, you can't call it Babekins. I was like, well, give me an idea for a name. And I want to come up with something better than Babekins and Bubkins. And my cousin cousin Frankie actually said, he said, call it Skootah Adventures. I was like, yeah, that's already taken. He goes, well, spell it different. Spell it Skootah. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Why not? And so just like that, we started changing everything, and it stuck. And I was like, but now time goes on. I'm like, we need to kind of get away, because people will see me in the park. You know how it is. They're like, what's your channel? And I'm like, Skootah Adventures. And they're like, SCOO.
Right.
I'm like, no. SKOOTA. I was like, it's so out there, the spelling, that people don't even know what the channel is. So, but now it is what it is. It's stuck. And I guess we're Skootah Adventures.
It's funny you say that, because the three of us on screen have that issue, right? Because Living in Diz is spelled with a Z. So then I made Park Bros spelled with a Z. And people, I have...
The DIZPod is a Z.
The DIZPod is a
Z. Yeah, exactly.
And so one of the guys that I follow, who's a YouTube mentor, Kirk Nugent, who's a great guy, he always says Park Bras, just like Tina Marie does. And I think it's just because he doesn't, I guess if it had an S, he would, think of bros like, Bagel Brothers or whatever. But yeah, so it's funny. The three of us have odd spellings.
Yeah, and then when people ask, you find yourself spelling it and justifying this name to people. It's like I feel like a fool sometimes.
yeah.
That's why I make
living.
And that's why I got
Diz
my
would
little
be such
magnets.
an
I made a
easy
magnet. Now I
name.
just, you might see me in the park when I'm streaming. I'm like, just take a little magnet, and there it goes.
There you go.
Because it's the same thing. It's like living in Diz is so easy, and people will say, living at Diz or living in the Diz or what? Or I have to explain the DIZ. It's living in Diz, DIZ, and they still ask questions, and it's like, okay, we've already spent too much time on this. Like it's really easy. So,
and that was that lady, like I mentioned earlier, that was at the show yesterday. Like I said, I could feel her looking at me out of the corner of my eye as I'm streaming. And at the end of the show, when everything went down, she was like, she goes, I know I've seen you before. I watch your channel. She goes, I just can't think of the name. And I was thinking, well, if I had a normal name for a channel, she probably would have remembered. And I was like, yeah. I said, it's a weird spelling. It's Skootah Adventures. I was like, oh, you're not alone. Most people don't remember the channel. When I said, she's like, yeah, that's it. And that's when she looked at her husband. She goes, Skootah Adventures. That's the guy I watch. And he's like, yeah, it is. And so it's just funny because even she knew that that's a channel I watch, but I can't say the name. I don't even know what that's all about.
Well,
so it's just fun.
Aaron from My Disney World I'm sorry, Magic Horizons says I'm not tied down to any names.
I said I beg to differ that one. I'm sure Roxy has a few names for him. Ken says he cannot unforget the information now about Bumpkins and Babekins, and I'm going to try to take note of it too.
Then we've done our job. We've done our job. The episode is a success.
I didn't plan on
hear "Hey Bumpkins" across Magic Kingdom. It's going to be
I was like,
Ken, or
I'm
it's
going
to be me.
I gotta keep something to ourselves, but that came out. Yep, Babekins and Bubkins Adventures. I'm sure we still did a search on YouTube for Babekins and Bub. I think our pictures come up somewhere. It might have one video on it or something, because I think that was a totally different channel. But yeah, Babekins and Bubkins was a thing. Yes.
Wow. All right. Skootah, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you being in the Disney Streamer Network. You add a lot to
Thank you guys.
You add a lot to the community, and just appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you so much, guys, and I appreciate you having me on tonight. Thank you. So I was honored to do this, and thank you for the platform and to be here and see everybody in the chat. And
appreciate it.
It was fun, a lot of fun.
Honored to have you. Honored to have you, and it's great to have such a good character guy like you over there at the DSN for sure. And love saying hello to you in the parks. So you're very welcome, my friend.
And on
now,
that,
and I like the angle you held yourself most of the time, because I didn't have to look at the Yankee stuff back there. So good job.
Yep. Well, there it is. Yeah, at least I took. It's my Yankee photo that I actually took that photo from the final game. So it's actually it means something to me. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
And I
went up at that point. If you remember that game, real quick before we go off the air, the Yankees were playing for nothing. They didn't even make the playoffs that year. It was a meaningless game against the Baltimore Orioles. Where's Pete McDevitt? But they were playing the Orioles, and the game meant nothing. Managed to get in, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend the night exploring the stadium. The game is irrelevant, but I want to take pictures of things I'm never going to see again. So I was taking pictures of it. You look at, I must have taken maybe 200 photos that night with my SLR, digital SLR. And it's the concession stands, it's the gift shop, it's people working there, it's security, it's like all behind the scenes stuff. A couple shots of the field, like that photo back there. But what was going on in the field didn't even matter to me. I just spent the whole night. And back then I didn't need a scooter. I was actually walking. I was on the top of the upper deck from that side, upper deck on that side, upper deck behind home plate. I was just everywhere and just capturing the moment. And that's how that photo came about. It was an awesome night.
I was not at the last game at Shea Stadium, but I lived across the Grand Central from Shea Stadium. So I watched it come down every day. I'd come back from home from work, and more pieces of it would be gone. And I have a picture of the final staircase just standing there on its own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent time when I, as a little kid, before my love of Disney even started, my Aunt Millie and Uncle Murray, crazy names right there. My Uncle Murray was the head of concessions at Yankee Stadium when it was Canteen Corporation. He ran all the food concessions. And I used to go with them. I used to say, "Hey, Mom, can I go with $8 Million Knuckle Murray to work?" And they would go to a Yankee game. They would have to get there 2 hours before the gates open. For day game, the gates would open at 12 for a 2 o'clock start, and they would have to go in at 10. And I would beg my mother to let me go. And I was young enough that I could be on my own, but too young to even be there. But I would go with them, and they would go to their post to go to work, and I would just go disappear into the stadium and wait for the gates to open. And once the gates opened, then I would kind of fill in. And they had a couple ushers that they knew in the seats that would look out for me and give me a seat. One guy named Leo. And so I basically spent a lot of my childhood walking around in an empty Yankee Stadium. I used to go down and meet some of the players as a little kid. Nobody ever questioned anything. I'm sure now you can never do that.
Yeah.
But I just got to spend a lot of time there. And when they tore it down, I was like losing a piece of my, that's gone now. The Liberty Bell is gone now. It's like, wow, little bits and pieces, all stuff from my childhood are gone. There's nothing we could do about all that stuff, but it happens.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, yeah. So look out for Skootah Adventures this weekend. Corey will be in the parks tomorrow night at Magic, and then Saturday at Hollywood. I will be back in the producer's chair tomorrow night for Living in Diz, so we will have the extended Magic hours after that stream tomorrow, and then I'll have the Monorail Report on Park Bros channel 6:30 on Thursday. So busy week for all of us.
Sounds good. Yeah. And we're gonna drop a vlog Thursday or Friday night. So make sure your notifications are on. I'm gonna drop a vlog, and I love doing it, but I don't always have time. But I got 2 in the can. Two. So we got 2 coming up. We got one this week and one next week. So watch out for that.
You try to find a balance, because that's what I tell you. I try to go out and shoot a vlog. Do I shoot a vlog or stream? And that's why yesterday I got there early enough after my doctor's appointment. I had to day off of work. I got there early enough to have a couple hours to play. I did a vlog, and then I started the stream. So I was able to get something done, so I could have something to edit now.
Same. Yep. I did that on Saturday. I ended the stream at Magic, jumped on the boat over to Wilderness Lodge, and checked out the viral grilled cheese and the Thumper carrot cake. So, and gave a little quick tour around the resort. So that one will come out next week. But this week, at the end of this week, Thursday or Friday night, we'll release Butterbeer season. It's Butterbeer season over at Hollywood at Universal Studios. So it's that, and we discovered something while making the vlog, and the second half is all about tracking down something. So, stay tuned for that, everyone.
All right.
You see Brittany W?
Yeah.
Have a good night, babekins and bubkins.
I love it.
Thank you, Britt.
All right, folks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate you all being here. I don't remember what our next topic is next week, but don't worry, we'll have some fun for you.
We'll carve something out for you. So we do this live because we do it for you. Thank you so much for joining us in the live chat, everyone, as our studio audience. We love you all. We love you all, no matter who you watch, except for when Ken's on. Lily's channel's better with Ken.
And watch out for Tom. Tom Peep is out there somewhere this week too.
Look out for Tom Peep. This is his weekend.
Yeah, very big week for old Tom Peep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Definitely. And you can definitely. We always want to thank all those who listen to us or watch us on all those podcasts where major podcasts are available. And I guess that's it. So for now, we're just a couple of bros talking Disney.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, guys. You see Britt?